Welcome back, my friends, to Size Doesn't Matter podcast, entrepreneurial marketing and mayhem. Today, it's not just a special guest, it's a family VIP. Jazzy Luchini, welcome to the show.
I've had a lot of my current clients tell me that they signed with me purely because of my energy and my confidence, not because of my experience or my skills.
Size doesn't matter. You start in your bedroom, and one day she's gonna be running her own corporation.
What I did instead was like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Watch me. I used YouTube an insane amount to just learn how to do things. I had no idea how to do graphic design. I just watched people on YouTube and was like, I guess I'll figure it out.
Google, Apple, Facebook, they all started dorm rooms, garages, and got bigger. And Jazzy started out of her apartment.
Entrepreneur, the way I look at it nowadays, is just another word for creative, because there's so many ways that you can build a business. And a lot of people thought it's just commerce or offering services. I think you can just build a business around yourself. I always say you're your most valuable asset.
We get so busy during the day, we're working so much, we're checking off the list, doing everything, that sometimes we forget we are human, but human connection is the best self-healing I have found, period.
It's all about internal works. Albert Einstein and a lot of other people figured out you shift everything inside of you, and then that projects everything outside of you.
You know, size doesn't matter. It's not how tall you are, it's how tall you walk. Welcome back, my friends, to Size Doesn't Matter podcast, entrepreneurial marketing and mayhem. And you know, it seems like every episode I'm telling the crew here and my audience that, I got a very special guest today. And I don't want it to be hyperbole, but today, it's not just a special guest, it's a family VIP. I have someone that shares the exact same last name as me. Jazzy Luchini, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Erico, and this is my daughter, Jazzy. Literally, her name is Jazzy, and it suits her personality. And this works out fantastic because this is really about entrepreneurs, and you know, every big business starts small. Google, Apple, Facebook, they all started dorm rooms, garages, and got bigger. And Jazzy started out of her apartment. But not just that. You know, I joke about my dimensions, right? 5'5", $125. Well, Jazzy's even smaller. So you can imagine we were growing up going to school, always one of the smaller kids in the class. We looked way younger than we were. Hopefully, we still do. I know I do. And so, you know, Jazz used to come home from school, and, you know, she had a late birthday. There was kids in the class always looked way more mature. And I'd tell her that, you know, size doesn't matter. It's not how tall you are, it's how tall you walk. And now she's become her own business owner, and she is walking really tall. And as a dad and also as a business peer, I got to say, I'm really proud of her. I've seen her growth in the past several years, both personally and business-wise, and how they've kind of crossed over together. So she's going to tell you today, really, the path, the journey that brought her here, with or without my help, with or without my misguided sight and vision. She's really done it all on her own. So Jazzy, official welcome.
Thank you so much. I like to say I'm 5'2" with some attitude.
Ooh. Oh, so you're trying to beat your dad already here.
Oh, yeah.
Take him down. Damn. Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? So, okay, your name Jazzy. Is Jazzy your real name?
I mean, I tell people it is.
Okay. Kind of works for you and your personality.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to size, I used to tell you that when you were a kid. Does that really come into play? Size doesn't matter. It's how tall you are.
Yeah, I think what I've learned over time is you use your voice and your personality, and that's how you measure your size. So as someone smaller that kind of fell into the crowd and kind of got covered up physically, I would use my voice, my personality to show how big I really was.
Standing tall, girl.
Yeah.
You walk really tall. So let's go back. So in high school, you used to love public speaking. Actually, before high school, if I recall. Didn't one of your class graduations, you were the keynote speaker, right?
6th grade and 8th grade.
Oh, did both. So you enjoy being out in front of the public.
I did.
Whether you're this tall or this tall, you don't care. You want to be out in front of that mic, in front of that audience, grabbing the bull by the horns.
What I think it was is because I was so small, I was so shy that I was like, I have to do something to prove that I have a voice, that I'm bigger than I am. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people wanted to be like, you're never going to speak. You're never going to win the graduation speech. You know, you're too shy. So what I did instead was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. Watch me. And that's just shows that when you use your personality, you use your voice, it doesn't matter anything about your size.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Very cool. And then you took that into a career path. So you went on to school, and you went to SoCal, came back to SAC for a bit, went back to SoCal, and where'd you graduate from?
Long Beach State.
Oh, not like our crew here is Sac State. Well, at least you were CSU. You got some of the blood. Sac State versus Long Beach, who wins?
Long Beach.
Oh, our executive crew here, really, you're outnumbered 4-1, 5-1. Your dad's Sac State as well. Damn. Girl's got some about her, doesn't she? She's about the attitude. So you graduated from Long Beach State, but something interesting was happening at that time. It was May of 2020. What was going on in the world? I think we all know, but let's hear it from your perspective.
Yeah, I graduated right at the peak of COVID. My last semester got taken away halfway through because of COVID.
So you didn't even get to walk with your class. Nobody in your class got to walk. So great, you got this nice diploma. All right, I'm ready for the world, ready for my job. And what kind of job did you find?
Nothing. I didn't have anything at first. And then I took some internships. That was when remote work wasn't really a thing yet. It was kind of like a niche thing. Not many people were working online. And then it started to come about because of COVID. And then I decided to do a PR internship online because I wanted to do 9 to 5. I wanted to do corporate because that's what I thought the path was. And I just happened to work with a company that was like, hey, I need a virtual assistant. And I was like, I have no idea what that is, but if it's paid at this point, I'll take it. And they were basically like, you're your own business owner. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'll do it for now.
But this was during COVID. Did they have an office? Did you go work with them? You said virtual. Did you ever meet these people?
I met them about 2 years after I started working for them. So they were in Michigan. I was in California, obviously, and I worked remote with them. The only time I met them was when I worked at conferences where we would meet up at a conference and I would work for them at the conference. I've only met them 2 or 3 times, but it was completely virtual. It was right when Zoom was just kind of getting started. I had barely used Zoom. I had barely used any of the online tools at that point.
So what did you do? You just kind of self-learned? You said, okay, they gave me this job. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't really know what it's about. I'll just figure it out.
Yeah, I was lucky. They ended up being like my mentors. So they really walked me through it because they were a little bit older than me, but they were also entrepreneurs running their own business. But it was a lot of nights of just YouTube and Google. Like I used YouTube an insane amount to just learn how to do things. I had no idea how to use Canva. I had no idea how to do graphic design. I just watched people on YouTube and was like, I guess I'll figure it out.
And did you figure it out?
I did. And now that's all I use.
And then what happened? So these were your kind of initial client. You worked with them for a year, 2 years as a sole. They were kind of your sole employer, or did something else happen along the way?
I worked with them for 4 years. They were my longest running clients. And then I, was like, what else can I do with this? Because this is not enough money to make an income. I actually made a friend who did the same thing. And she was like, you know that you can take on more clients. Because I was just treating it like a job. I was treating it like, I just have one client and I work my way up, I guess. I get promoted. I didn't really understand the structure. And so then I started using online platforms. I used like Indeed and Upwork to find other clients and just hope for the best. And then that's when I realized like, oh, I can start an LLC. And that's when I was like, okay, I can take on more than one client, more than 2 clients, more than 3 clients. And it just kind of snowballed from there.
So how many clients you have now?
Like 10.
10. And you're doing this pretty much all by yourself.
Yeah, I have a social media manager that I contract out, and I'm hoping to build a bigger team, but right now it's mostly just me.
So a solopreneur. And you're running this, you have like a big office in a big corporate tower, or where are you running this business from?
I wish. No, I'm running it in my apartment, my spare bedroom,
With your dog there?
with my dog there. And like I'm a podcaster, so I have my little podcast mic on my desk in my bedroom in my apartment.
See, folks, size doesn't matter. You start in your bedroom, and one day she's going to be running her own corporation. Gen Z, it's just the way it is. That's a true entrepreneur. So now you got 10 clients. So you said you've attracted them with using Indeed and other platforms. Do you have a niche that you work in, or you take any kind of client that just needs your help?
So I started on Indeed and all those sites, but I'm sure we'll get into the marketing later, but I found better avenues to do that. But what I found works is I work with a lot of speakers and coaches. A lot of them are both. So that's why I kind of niche into both. But I take anyone. I also work with nonprofits, photographers, clothing brands, anyone that comes to me that I feel like we align. But I kind of market myself as working with speakers and coaches and people that have multiple passions. A lot of these people are multipreneurs, as I call them. So they have multiple passions.
So like, what do you do what are some of the things that you provide for them? Again, this is all virtual. Most of them, I take it, you've probably never met in person. So you take on work, and what exactly do you do?
Everyone's different. I like doing a wide range of services where some people don't. So I'll do anything from social media marketing, like full management, engagement, building the brand, social media strategy. I help people with podcasts, podcast editing, administrative work, all types of different things. A lot of PR and outreach, which is originally what I went to school for, was PR. So I love that I get to incorporate PR, especially for the speakers, getting to book them for speaking engagements and interviews, things like that.
So I'm thinking I can fire my whole executive crew here and just move my podcast business over to Jazzy VA, and you'll handle all my podcast. Wow. I
Yeah.
hadn't thought about that before. Amazing. Didn't know this was a sales pitch in action. Okay, so you got the Jazzy VA, but then along the way, you kind of took a little detour and you launched a podcast this year, Magnetic and Messy. What does that mean?
It means to be magnetic in life, to attract everything that you want in life and desire in life. That means that you have to embrace the messy parts of yourself and learn how to work with those parts.
So what do you mean? You got ADD and you're all over the map and you just got to navigate that?
Yes, you learn how to work with it instead of against it.
How do you do that?
It's all about internal work. So the way I look at things is everything starts internally first and then it projects outwards. We're always taught cause and effect, right? But Albert Einstein and a lot of other people figured out that when you shift your beliefs inside of you, that's why mindset work is such a big thing and people don't understand how it works, is you shift everything inside of you and then that projects everything outside of you. That's why sometimes it feels like you're like, I want something, or you think about someone and then they text you or that thing happens and you're like, whoa, that was such a coincidence. Well, it's not a coincidence. It starts internally first.
So you're using like mental focus, like you want something to happen. You kind of get in this mode, you're just thinking, and you're driving internally, and suddenly a new client appears. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's like, there's different ways to put it. Some people call it manifestation. I call it subconscious reprogramming. Everything is dictated by your subconscious. 95% of your thoughts and behaviors are subconscious behaviors. 5% is conscious. So if you're like, I want clients, I want a big business, but you keep telling yourself, I'm broke, money's hard to make. You grew up in a family where maybe money was hard to make, or that, you don't run a business, you work 9 to 5. Businesses are unstable. Then you internalize that and that creates your reality. But if you change your subconscious beliefs to be like, no, I can run a business, I can make money from running a business, I can attract all the clients I want, then those opportunities start presenting themselves to you in your reality.
So now you have the Jazzy superpowers to attract clients. So, in the next 1 to 2 years, what do you want your clients base to look like? You've got 10 now, a year from now, 2 years from now. Do you want more clients, or do you want just the right high quality clients?
Both. So I really pride myself on my business being built on long-term clients. So a lot of my clients are long-term. Some I do one-off projects, but I try to make them long-term and build those relationships and scale upwards with them. But at the same time, I would love to eventually build up to where I'm working with my current clients on a bigger scale and I have more clients. I want it all. I don't think I should limit myself. And at that point, I would want an agency. I would want people behind me. I would want team members. I would want other virtual assistants working for me and with my clients.
5'2" with an attitude. That's for damn sure. Well, I want to hear more about, Jazzy's world. I think what you guys want to hear also, father-daughter business relationship. Yeah, some personal stuff, but some business relationship in there. So hopefully she's got a good story or two she'll bring up. We're going to take a break, everybody, and we will be right back to Size Doesn't Matter with our very special guest, Jazzy Luchini. Hello, my wonderful listeners. Welcome back. As I mentioned, today's the very special episode. It's the family episode. It's Jazzy going against her dad. Remember, we lived in the same household till she was at least 17 before she went off to college. And we had some great times. But as you know, we both do podcasts. We both like to be out there in front of people, which means sometimes, bam, 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 we're going to turn it up against each other, especially her against me. That 5'2" with the attitude, That's a real deal coming from Jazzy. She's a lot taller than she looks. She walks very, very tall. And so we probably had our moments over the years, which if she's feeling like it, she can let you in on some. So Jazzy, what the hell did you learn from me?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, fitting. You see the nature of my life? Get it from the wife, get it from the daughter, get it from the world. I'm going to start walking taller myself too.
I learned how to be annoying and never stop talking.
Oh, okay. All right, Miss Podcast, let's hear it. You bring it, girl.
So with my dad, everywhere we go, when we're like, we need to leave, you need to say we need to leave 2 hours before because he needs to do his rounds. And that's when he actually starts talking and it never ends. So now I've learned that if I'm going anywhere, if I'm going to dinner anywhere where I know I'm going to want to leave early, to just go separate because he doesn't stop talking ever. I don't think ever.
I'm Italian. Come on, it's just part of the culture. You're half Italian. Come on, you use the hands, you get it going. But isn't talking what got us here today? You talk to people. A podcast. You can't be scared to talk to people. You got to talk. You got to put yourself out there, right? You said you were shy when you were younger. Believe me, I was shy too. People said, you were never shy. I was shy all through school, but the same way, you gave me a chance to talk, put me on a soapbox. Well, I'm going to let it loose, boy. I'm going to make a big roar. And I think in your own way, you got that from me. Whether you want to admit it or not, the same thing has come with you.
Yeah, that's true. But I think also what I learned is part of communication is listening.
I got 2 ears. I listen. 2 ears, 1 mouth. I speak twice as much as I listen.
I think you're like bottom of like the listener scale and everyone else is up here.
Okay, did you guys all get together today and say this is a Roast Eric podcast? It's not about entrepreneurial business. It's like, let's roast the host today. Okay, trying to get those ratings up. Okay. So apparently you learned almost absolutely nothing from me. You're a self-made woman, typical Gen Z entrepreneur attitude, I gotta say. For sure, eye rolling. Dad, that's not the way we do it now. I've heard that all my life, and I've heard it again recently, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And you're serious about that?
I am.
Okay. Self-made woman.
Yeah.
So is this what you tell your male clients?
I have like 2 male clients.
Is that purposely?
Yes.
Why?
I like them, but I need to be picky. Because they're about, men are very like, you got to grind, you got to hustle, you got to pay your dues, you got to take action, you got to do all these things, you got to like claw your way to the top, where women are like, we can take action, but you take the right action. You don't kill yourself to get there. You know, you take the aligned action, which sometimes means you don't hustle as hard, you don't grind as hard, but you get there in a much easier way.
And how do you do that? If you're not hustling as hard, how does your client know you're working hard on their behalf if they're not seeing you sweat a little bit? They're not seeing that hustle.
It's all about alignment.
What does that mean?
It means understanding where if you're working against something, you're in resistance. So you're just fighting. You're like white knuckling something that's not working. Or if you take a step back, you really look at what you need to do. You listen to your intuition. Your gut's always telling you something. And a lot of men don't do that because they're always like, I just need to keep taking action. And sometimes those actions are just busy work. It's not productive at all. And for women, sometimes they're too passive. Sometimes they're not taking enough action. You kind of have to blend the two and really listen to your intuition and take the correct action. And sometimes it means that you go through grind seasons or hustle seasons, but it shouldn't be your life 24/7.
So we got a mixed audience here, but it's 3 men and 1 woman. How does that play out? Yay or nay? Well, of course, the lady shakes her head. Sophia's like, oh, yeah, 100%. That's what it is. So the guys are in unison on this. Darren's being quiet. Darren, what's your thoughts on this? You're definitely a hustler. I'll tell you that.
I see. There's a lot of sense in what Jazzy says, and me being in a leadership position, I know that I can't do everything the right way. I know I'm not the best at every single task that needs to be done, and so I focus on making sure that I have the right people to do it. And sometimes it does require me to go overdrive because I am the best person to do it at that moment. So I'm mixed. I'm very mixed, but I can accept the fact that I'm not going to be the best option for each task that needs to be done. And I think that's one thing that entrepreneurs really struggle with is they have too much pride and they want to do it all by themselves when it's just not feasible, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. And I think working with me, I have to understand how to work with them, work with different people, and understand that it's going to take them time. A lot of them know. A lot of them, when I'm initially on a lead call with them, they're like, I know I'm a perfectionist. I know I need to delegate, and I know I'm going to struggle with it. And it's just kind of giving them the space to do that.
So now you've been at this several years. Can you think of one time you made a mistake? It was a business mistake, and you stopped yourself, but you learned from it.
Yes, there was one time my client needed me to book someone on her podcast. And I thought I had it booked. I thought I had it scheduled. I thought all the links were out. I thought I had all the assets I needed. And she was ready for it. And I completely dropped the ball. It was not scheduled. There was no link. The person was not aware that this was happening. And my client was all ready. And it was a really important podcast. She has a really big platform. And it was stressful.
Was it just dead air? Was it a live podcast or pre-recorded?
Pre-recorded,
Okay.
but
Still.
she has like 1 million followers.
It's like, dead air. Here's my guest today who is not today. They're not here because Jazzy didn't do it. So what did you learn from that? So one, you had to deal with the stress. You had to deal with the stress of the client, the wrath of the client, and then how to prevent it going forward.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky I didn't have the wrath. I was just like, my bad. I gave the wrong time. I didn't schedule it, in the platform. And we just kind of moved forward from there. But I'm lucky that I didn't have someone that gave me wrath. But that's also important because I understand my clients and I pick my clients very carefully to where they're understanding of my mistakes. And I rarely drop the ball, but I know it's going to happen. And so they're very understanding. And all you do is just pick it back up. Be like, okay, what do you need me to do now? How can we solve this? You don't dawn on it. You don't cry about it. You just go, okay, I messed up. I take accountability. And then you go, what can we do moving forward? What do we need to do? And how can we make a better system so this doesn't happen again?
So on that thought, how do you deepen your business relationships? So that, again, this is somebody you're dealing with remotely. You've been doing work. There was a problem, but you're trying to make that bond stronger with another business client. How do you deepen that relationship?
I always offer I always call myself a business bestie. So I'm always like, I'm not just someone in your business that's just going to check off tasks and move on. I'm like, if you need to strategize or brainstorm, I'm here. I also tell my clients, if you need to vent about anything, I have a lot of clients that just get on a call with me and they just vent and they get it out. And then I give them my perspective and they're like, that felt so good that opened so many creative ideas. So just kind of being like a person they can talk to, because in entrepreneurship, it's really lonely. So sometimes you just need someone you can vent to, and I don't have that as much and they don't have that. So it's nice to be able to share that.
So even though you're remote, it's like you still have sort of a professional, like your employees in the same business. Professional, but there's no judgment. Just like a coworker would go to their other person's cubicle or office and say, hey, can I vent for a minute? And just let it loose. Kind of the same thing. It just happens to be remote, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't like to call it like where they're hiring me or contracting me. I always tell people on my calls, this is a partnership. We're working together. This is a collaboration. And that's something I preach a lot is it's collaboration over competition or collaboration over being, even though you're a solopreneur, you're still in a partnership with everyone in your network.
Now you said solopreneur, but now you've got something that you're launching that's beyond that. Sounds like it's just one person, right? Doing it by themselves. You have got if I can pronounce it correctly, the Multipreneurs Club. What is that exactly?
Well, it's not necessarily you can't really compare it to solopreneur. The Multipreneur Club is more about people that have multiple passions. So instead of having one particular niche, a lot of people I was told, like, stay in your lane, pick virtual assistants and stay there.
Wait,
and
who told you this?
Society. A lot of business owners, business gurus, a lot of people on social media that consider themselves to be, everyone's like a mentor these days. They say, pick a niche, get good at it, and stay there because that's how you're going to be successful. Well, I started to feel like I was caged in, and there were all these things I wanted to do, but I was like, I have to stick to one thing or I'm going to fail. And so I did that for so long. And then I branched into coaching and I was like, okay, that's all I can do. And then I realized like, I want to do a podcast. I want to speak. I maybe want to write a book one day. I don't know. And all my clients do that. They do tons of different things. So I figured, why not show people that you can do it all? And you're actually more successful when you do everything. You just have to do it right.
But how do you make that happen? There's only so many hours in the day. You don't have 25 hours in a day. You got 24. You get scattered. You get stressed. You get lost. And I just said, but I want to take on more and more and more, but not let my clients down. It's a juggling act. Sometimes with that spinning plate, one of them is going to fall and crash. Is that just a risk you take?
It's a risk you take, but I think you're more likely to crash if you don't do the things that you creatively want to do. I think that causes burnout, which causes a bigger crash, and then that's hard to come back from as a business owner. Where if you just do the things that you want to do, I think the biggest thing is being able to prioritize and compartmentalize.
How do you do that? I'm listening to the words, but I'm just trying to think in my head, maybe because I'm just a dumb guy and I just don't do that or do it correctly. I need some guidance. I need some coaching from my daughter, my professional consultant, to tell me and guide me how to compartmentalize and prioritize.
This is very like male brain centric, as I can tell, is where the female
Oh,
brain-
me, good caveman. Yes. Yeah.
but you're just so like focused, like you have to get the result, but sometimes it's not just about getting the one result. It's like, what can you bring in to actually make it bigger long term, instead of being like, I need to get to the outcome the quickest way possible and then move on to the next thing. But it's like, what if you do all the things and you get to the outcome a little bit later, but it's bigger than that original outcome? You know what I mean?
So maybe as a guy, you're saying we're not good as multitasking. We have to come with the club, beat it to death, and then go on to the next thing. Where women are true multitaskers. Hey, I can take on 10 things. Whether I have kids, running a family, running a business, a combination of both, or everything else I want to do in life, I can manage it, and guys struggle with that.
Yeah, I think it's just about learning to get into flow a lot. So that's where I mean like compartmentalizing. One, you need to prioritize. Like if you're going to do like a podcast, run a business, coach other business owners, take on clients, like you have to prioritize what are your, I would say the big 3 things you want to focus on, and make goals. Like you can do it quarterly, you can do it yearly, and prioritize those things, and everything else falls under it. And then you can kind of switch it, but also being open to like, sometimes like in the beginning of the year when I launched my podcast, I was full force my podcast, and now I'm like still doing it, but I'm like, okay, it has to take the back seat because there's a couple other things I want to prioritize. So I'm still going to do what I can to keep it consistent, but I need to reprioritize the other things that I'm doing.
So I'm going to take a step out here, and I'm going to label you. You're Gen Z.
I'm like
On the cusp.
millennial.
Darren, right? Millennial, Gen Z, on the cusp, probably in the same boat. So you're kind of riding the two. Generationally, people think, they're just slackers. They don't want to work. What I'm hearing from you, though, is like, hey, we do a lot. We just do it differently. But it's been this label by an older generation. Gen Z millennials, they want it easy. They don't want to take these jobs. They don't want to work for money. But yet it sounds like you're cramming a lot of things into one life.
Again, I think it's about alignment. I think it's not about taking the most action. It's about taking the right action. I don't think I like working, but I don't think there's anything wrong with someone that doesn't want to work. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, how are they going to sustain? Off their friends?
They'll figure
Sleep
it
on their
out.
friend's couch?
They'll figure it out.
Go back and live with all their buddies and just go couch surfing or what?
I mean, you can see like the influencer creator culture, they made it work. They figured it out. They're taking the right actions, you know? Maybe it's not sustainable, but also I think the way that the older generation is doing it isn't sustainable either. To just try to, like I said, grind and hustle and pay your dues and always take action. And I'm like, but for what? Like you're working this 9 to 5 your whole life sometimes, and you're making less money than someone like me who is working probably half the hours. Yes, running my own business, it's stressful in its own way, but I'm not taking as much action and putting in as many hours. That's like, you get stuck in the trading time for money.
Jazzy, I got an important question for you. Can you lend me $100? You just said you make more money than me. All those years I sustained you, paid for your college. I think it'll pay back for your poor, broken down, old, burned out dad here. Come on.
No, I need the money though.
Oh, now you got greed factor.
Work smarter, not harder. That's the whole.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
So see, no matter what age you are, your dad, daughter, you can always learn something from the next generation. And I think we're going to learn a little more. We want to get into some marketing, how Jazzy is marketing all these multiple things she does. So stay tuned. We'll be right back to Size Doesn't Matter.
Hey everyone, I'm Jazzy, the owner of the Jazzy VA and the host of Magnetic and Messy podcast. I'm a virtual assistant, business coach, and multi-passionate entrepreneur, and I have a lot going on. If you're interested in working with me, you can find me at thejazzyva.com. I help all types of business owners all around the world from all different walks of life, and I'd love to hear from you.
Well, welcome back, tall people. This is Size Doesn't Matter, your host, Erico, with his very special guest, Jazzy, his daughter. Now, before we took a break, we got into a little bit of generational debate here, what's going on. And so I mentioned that, kind of the previous generations, the great generation and baby boomers and Gen Xers kind of snub their nose at Gen Z and millennials, thinking they're slackers, they don't want to work, they just want the side hustles, they want to be influencers, really do nothing that's 9 to 5. And there may be some merit to that, some truth, some not truth. But also, there's a way to look at it. So, about a year and a half ago when I was deciding what was my next chapter, always working for companies, did marketing, communications, advertising, year after year after year. And then through my mentorship at Sac State, I met a young man that says, you know what? I'm going to go hiking for the next 3 days. I said, you can just get up and do that? He goes, I'm my own boss. I'll work 10 days straight, and then I'll just take off and go hike for 3 days. As long as I have reception on my phone, I can do my business. Then I'm talking to Jazzy, my daughter. She's doing the same thing. She travels around the country, seeing Jonas Brothers whenever she wants. But she'll hustle. She'll kick it up and work for her clients nonstop so she can take 3 days when she wants and just go take care of business. So I went, older generation, something to learn from that. You think they're slackers? Maybe they just found a better way to work, better way to make a living that's a work-life balance. Yeah, you're going to work your butt off to a point, but you're going to take your break and you're going to enjoy life and not work for the man 9 to 5 until he breaks you and burns you out, right? Is that kind of where it's at, Jazzy?
Yeah, I think what the older generation got used to is you work and then when you retire, you live. We're making it so that you live now, because what if you die tomorrow and you never made it to retirement?
Yeah.
You never got to move to Florida or a different country and live out your retirement life.
I have a lot of friends next year going to do it, and they're not here anymore.
Exactly.
But they wanted to live by the old garden. Now I got to work for this company. I got 30 years in. I got to get to 33 to make sure I get my pension. And their mindset is just trying to give every day of their life away. It's like they have a checkbook of their life, and every day, oh, here's a check of my life. Take it, boss. Take it, take it. And you know what then happens? You run out of checks. You're out of money. You're out of days of your life. So your perspective, generationally and you personally, looks at it and says, no, I'm writing a check to myself today. That's kind of what I'm gathering from this. I'm writing a check to Jazzy because I'm going to live my life. I'm going to work. The two coexist. I make it work. I manifest it. So I've been following that lead. So I go, you know what? I'm changing my chapter. I'm going to go do my own thing. Podcast being part of it. So I actually have learned from you. I'm going to break down, swallow my pride, and I've learned something from my daughter, even though she has not learned from me. So here's my moment.
I'm the teacher.
5'2" with an attitude, that's for sure. Where did you get this gumption from? I'm more humble, I think.
It's from a song.
Oh. No, I mean your gumption with your attitude. You don't just have the song as the attitude. You got the attitude now.
Society. When society tries to push you down, you either can just take it and let them push you down, or you can fight back.
So you're coming back boxing.
That's what I
You
learned.
said, take me on, big boy.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. But it's proven you well. I've seen just in the past 2.5 years, your personal growth. Even though you live in another city, just as when you started, I remember you called me up and said, Dad, got a minute to run something by you? And which you talk a lot too. It was a minute would turn into half an hour. And she'd ask my opinion on a contract, how to position the client, till one day, she didn't call me anymore. She just figured it on her own. Brought me back when she used to do her homework. Dad, I need help with a paper. I go, okay, what should we write about? I don't know. I said, well, how about this idea? No, Dad, we can't do that. We can't do that. And she'd fight with me till she'd break down in tears. Then she'd grab her book and run away from the table, go lock herself in her room, write the paper on her own, turn it in and get an A. But she had to go through that whole tendency first just like that. And I think probably early in your career as being a VA and a coach, you probably did that a little internally, and then it made you tougher. And you said, I can do it on my own. I don't need to ask my dad's advice. I got this figured out. I got it handled. And you've been growing ever since. Your size is getting bigger and bigger, not physically, emotionally, business wise.
Yeah, I think what it kind of comes down to is, like I said, going back to like the 9 to 5, you get conditioned to like work for someone else, to get answers from someone else and not be able to think for yourself. And so I realized, I was like, you have to learn how to think for yourself, especially as an entrepreneur, and you have to learn from failing. Not everyone's going to have the answer. I always say a Fortune 500 company could give you their exact like play by play and everything that they do. And unless you go through the trials, the tribulations, the mindset work, the internal work, everything, you're not going to get the same results. You have to go through everything yourself and learn how it works for you.
So during this course, you've really put yourself out there. You're kind of, even though you're virtual, you're naked to the public, and somebody found you and asked you to do a speaking engagement just earlier this year, right? You were a
Yeah.
keynote speaker for what?
Virtual assistants.
Hmm.
I manifested it.
You manifested
I
it.
did.
So was this like a national speaking engagement? Was it in a little town hall? What was it?
It was international. It took place. It's just like kind of the Philippines. The Philippines and Africa have really huge markets for virtual assistants. So it took place in person in Africa with a huge market of like hundreds of people. And then online, it was streamed online for anyone that wanted to attend. So another few hundred people.
So what did you talk about? What was your topic? I guess virtual assistants, like something in particular, how to be one, how to offer quality, how to expand your business.
Sustainability, how to sustain it. So you don't even have to look at it like virtual assistants, just entrepreneurship in general, how to build a sustainable business. And I think that's where people get it wrong, is a lot of it is they think that, okay, I need to make money now. I need to see what my goals are this year. And I'm like, but it doesn't matter if you hit your goal this year if you're not thinking long term. What if it's not what you're doing in this year one isn't going to get you to year 10? You're just going to burn out, or you're just not building the right foundation
Yeah.
and structure.
So what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? So the name of our podcast, nationally jokingly, size doesn't matter, because I'm 5'5", a buck 25, but it's about small business. But the secondary name of it is entrepreneurial marketing and mayhem, because there's always mayhem in business. So, how do you market your business? And how do you market that you're an entrepreneur? People know that you're this solo provider to yourself. One, what does entrepreneur mean to you? What's your personal definition of it? And then how do you market your business as an entrepreneur with all the different things that you're starting to do?
I think entrepreneur, the way I look at it nowadays, is just another word for creative, because there's so many ways that you can build a business. And a lot of people thought it's just commerce or offering services. I think you can just build a business around yourself, right? I think I always say you're your most valuable asset. So as a personal brand, and that's what I learned, is building my business around virtual assistants or coaching or services or clients was great. But I was like, how do you stand out? How do you make it sustainable? How do you make it fun? How do you encompass everything? And it's really building it around yourself. And that's also what I learned from a lot of my clients, being creative and building everything from who you are, and you're the umbrella, and then everything that you offer stems from that.
So how do you measure your client's success with that? When a client sentiment, good, bad, they can tell you, oh, great job, Jazzy. Is that just words you're saying? Or do you have some kind of gauge you actually measure what the sustainability and the success is with them?
I guess it's different because every client's different. They want different services. They need different amounts of support. Some clients, I don't have a huge hand in their business. I just maybe have like focus on booking podcast guests for them. That's it. Others, I have full strategic, movement with them, and I do admin, I do marketing, I do social media, I do it all. And so it's kind of different based on the client. I think it's just more, I kind of base it on their energy and their attitude about something. Like if they're excited about something, if they're hyped about something, I get hyped. Like that motivates me. And then I motivate them because I'm motivated to help them. And that's how I kind of see the success, is like when we're both hyped about it. When
So
I'm
you
like,
gauge this personal energy
Yeah.
that's coming out of me. You said, okay, I've resonated with them. We've connected. We're aligned. We're both on the same path. We're going to succeed. That tells you, okay, success.
Yeah, I think it's less numerical and it's more about that energy between you and your client. Like some of my favorite clients, it's like maybe they're not making the biggest profit, but they love what they do, and I love that they love what they do, and then they love that they can like teach me and I can teach them, and more of like a collaboration partnership. That's where I like measure the success.
So you're helping them market themselves. How do you market the Jazzy brand? Jazzy is your name. It's in your business name. it's kind of resonating through all that you do. How do you market you?
Of course, I'm Gen Z, so social media, that's the
Yeah.
biggest one. I actually get the majority of my clients through that, but also networking has been the biggest one. I'm working on a project right now with a group of girls where we're really gonna advertise, I guess, or market as entrepreneurs, especially as women, that collaboration over competition, like I said earlier. And a lot of my clients come from referrals of people in the same industry as me. You think that you have to compete with other virtual assistants,
Mhm.
compete with other marketers. Well, people max out in clients, people offer different services. So I get a lot of my clients from those people.
Now, you mentioned social media. What's your content on social media? So one, what platforms are you using? What's your message? Does it vary by platform? Is it part of the same? Do you adjust for it?
So I always tell people pick one platform and get really good at it before you move on to another. Pick your favorite, nail that one, move on to the next, nail that one. Don't overwhelm yourself.
Mhm.
Instagram's the main market for me. I think I use a little bit of TikTok. I just kind of repurpose my content. I don't put a lot of effort into it. I don't find a lot of clients that I can work with in my niche
Mhm.
there. And then LinkedIn is also one. I think it's just dependent on your niche. So you think like speakers and coaches and authors, lots of them are going to be on LinkedIn, but Instagram's still a huge market for anyone that wants to do a service-based business.
So what's your content on Instagram? Because I see a lot of people there and they're polished, but they're canned. They're going live, they're talking, and it's like, are they just reiterating a script? This looks just kind of fake. It looks almost AI-ish in a way. I know it's a real person, but it's very, very canned and stale to me. It doesn't resonate that it's authentic. How do you differentiate from that? What's your content look and sound like?
Again, I think it's all about your personal brand. Because I used to do the same thing. I would use a script, I would speak off a script that I wrote, and it just didn't sound right. And then I was like, let me just post what I feel like posting, what I think will resonate, but also really work on my messaging. I am all about being magnetic. So, magnetic messaging, really
Mhm.
focusing on what's going to resonate with people. I always think, like, how can you take in the micro moments that they're experiencing in their life where it's almost like you're reading their mind. You want them to listen or look at your content and be like, wow, it's like she's reading my mind. She knows exactly what I'm going through in this moment. But also integrating your personality. So I like to be like hype, I like to be funny, I like to be magnetic and messy, and that's what I incorporate. And I realized when I started incorporating all my passions, like the podcast, even though I was like, I don't know how this ties in, because it was authentic, it resonated better. I think authenticity, it's like the highest frequency, it's the highest form of energy.
Mhm.
So it's gonna land no matter what you do. You know, when people's like vibes are off, when you're like their vibe is off, it's probably they're just not being authentic. They're holding something back. So I would say just don't hold back in your content, even if it's a little messy. I think too polished doesn't come off as authentic and it just doesn't land.
Just be you, because you're talking about your success is when the client's excited like you are, that
Mhm.
personal bond. So it sounds like when you start out, before they meet you, when they see you on screen, you got to be the person like, I see Jazzy on screen. We have our famous patented customer experience ecosystem. It starts with kind of your virtual doorstep. Before they've met you, before they talk to you, they see you live on Instagram. They're catching it. When they finally make a call to you, they hear your voice. It sounds like those two are in alignment. That's where your magic happens. Your superpower comes to play.
I've had a lot of my current clients tell me that they signed with me purely because of my energy and my confidence, not because of my experience or my skills. So I think that's why it's the most
Mhm.
important, because a lot of people buy from people. If they're going to bring you into their business, they need to trust you. So they don't just care about your skills and your experience. You could have the best resume in the world, but if they can't trust you in their business, and if they can't see how you're going to fit in and be excited for them, a lot of people want someone that's going to be excited to help them, excited to grow. And if you're not, why are they bringing you
Mhm.
in?
So would you consider that one of the myths of marketing, or is there another myth of marketing you've uncovered the past few years?
I think a myth of marketing, I would say more social media marketing, is feeling like you have to post. You have to use social media. I don't think you have to do anything. I think you need to, again, it comes with that kind of going with the flow and being in alignment. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work with you. There's a lot of other ways you can do things. And I think following the crowd just because it's working for everyone else, if you're just going against the current, you're
Mhm.
never going to make it upstream.
So social networking, but you also mentioned just general people networking. How do you do that? What are you doing for networking? You're a virtual assistant. You work out of your apartment. You're not working for a corporate company where you're going to Chamber of Commerce mixers and all these business mixers, networking there. What does your networking actually consist of?
Well, you can go to in-person conferences. There's a lot of entrepreneur conferences, as a woman, women conferences, but I think it's just figuring out what's comfortable for you. I personally hate in-person conferences. I think they're super uncomfortable. I don't really like talking to people like that. I like the virtual space. So I do use Instagram to connect with people, and that's how I found my market of people, my network of people is I just started talking to people, and then again, it's going based off that energy of like who
But
you
how do you
connect with.
talk to on social media? Short of you posting something out there, do you direct message somebody that you see their business online, you kind of go, I'm going to reach out to that person. Something about them says, maybe that'd be a good client for me. What is it that you exactly do to virtual network?
So I don't cold pitch. This is something I teach my students as a virtual assistant coach is I don't cold pitch. You can cold pitch through email, but don't cold pitch on Instagram. You can kind of tell there's a lot of cues of when someone's about to pitch you. They're like, "Hi, I just found your page. Um, how long have you been doing this?" And I'm like, they're about to pitch me. They're about to pitch me a service and I'm not even going to respond. It's just building that genuine connection and it's playing the long game. And I think a lot of people are impatient, especially the newer generations. They're impatient. They just want to go after the clients and they're like, it's a numbers game. And I'm like, yeah, but you want to build those genuine relationships to attract the right people into your business and also people that you resonate with. Because then you're just going to sign clients that maybe you hate and you didn't have a chance to even get to know them before.
I notice I get a lot of cold emails from because I work for a business, I work for a company as a marketing director. I get a lot of emails from the Philippines, you mentioned before, nothing from Africa yet, but overseas people telling me how they want to be my virtual assistant. I'm seeing it on Instagram, I'm seeing it on Facebook, I've seen some on TikTok. So they're really blasting the marketplace with a virtual assistant, and I'm sure their rates are like a fraction of what you would charge. How do you compete with that? Is it something you don't want to compete with? Do you wait till maybe there's a wreck on that somebody's contract with them and you pick up after the fact?
So I don't worry about it because I think you have to define your dream client. My dream client's not someone that wants to pay $4 an hour. If you want to pay $4 an hour to someone in the Philippines, which is, their normal conversion rate over there, that's fine. But I found that the clients that want to pay less are usually the most demanding. And the clients that are willing to pay more and invest for the quality over just someone that is doing tasks and they're willing to pay for someone in their time zone, someone that maybe has more experience, someone that they resonate with. They're willing to invest more in their business because they care about their business, not just numbers. Those are the people you want to work with.
Well, I think it's that premium brainstorming, right? You go overseas, here's a list of 10 tasks I need you to do. Yeah, it comes back, maybe it's done, but now I need you to brainstorm with me. They're not getting that. They're getting that from Jazzy directly.
Yeah.
Cool. So one more note of that word before we take another break, AI. How is AI starting to infiltrate the virtual assistant space? Well, some people go, hey, I've mastered AI. What do I need a virtual assistant? AI is my virtual assistant. I talk to ChatGPT. Everything's done for me. Have you encountered that? Do you foresee that being an issue down the line?
I've definitely encountered it. I think AI is a great tool. I use it as a virtual assistant, but you have to use it to your advantage and integrate it, not just use it for everything. And now that AI has become a thing, now people are being able to recognize it. And now they're actually repelled by businesses where you can tell they're using AI or ChatGPT for everything or to create their graphics and things like that. So it's actually repelling people. So I think it's just detrimental to itself. I don't think I have to do anything.
There's a term I was at a workshop last week, and they called it AI slop. It's getting recognized, and it's starting to hurt brands. It's starting to tarnish brands because people are going, okay, enough is enough. A little bit's okay, but when it's overwhelming and it's getting obvious, why do I want to look at it? Why do I want to engage with it? I want nothing to do with it. Give me the real thing. So it looks like maybe the tide's going to turn, not go back to where it was, but people are going to go, I'll take a little, I won't take a lot.
Again, that's why I think it's important to build your brand around you and your personality and your energy because you can't replace a person. Now they're trying to have AI of people. And so that's why I think like the influencer community is going to start going down in the next like 5 to 10 years. But the influencers that built a company or a business in the back, maybe they made like an energy drink or some sort of product. Those are the people that are going to flourish because now they have their personal brand and they have their product or their service. So I think that's where you can kind of work around AI is having that personal brand around you.
Cool. Well, we want to hear more about Jazzy's personal brand, but I'm still interested in this generational gap. So, our crew here is on the cusp of, some are on the cusp of the millennial Gen Z, some are strictly Gen Zs. I want to get their take on a couple of questions for Jazzy. So we'll get a little banter among the generation that is. Stay tuned. We will be right back to Size Doesn't Matter podcast. Well, welcome back to all my friends to the show that you wish would never end. And I shouldn't say we've been having a good time. I've been having a good time with my daughter, Jazzy, here on the program. But we've talked throughout here about, there's a little generational gap of how you look at business, how you look at marketing, how you put yourself out there. So fortunately, we got our whole executive production crew in staff today that's either part of the millennial generation on the cusp of Gen Z or Gen Z entirely. So these are the generations that are on the rise, soon to be in charge. So I think our audience really wants to hear what these generations think about small business and marketing and growing, what the future looks like, what they're encompassing today, the challenges, but that lead to the success of tomorrow. So Jazz, you ready for a little Q&A from the people that kind of line up with you and your generation?
I'm ready. Hit me with the questions.
Well, let's take it. So Darren, if you can speak and enunciate clearly, I'm going to turn the question asking over to you. Can you do that?
I'm here.
Okay.
Well, we have one question, and I think this really goes well with what you've been talking about. But what do you do if your client clearly goes with the wrong choice or is really difficult to work with?
So I wouldn't personally use the term wrong choice because I think it's a personal preference. It may not be my preferential choice, but to them, maybe it's what they want. I do challenge them a little bit where I say, what if we did it in this way? Or I was a mediator in college. I got my mediation certificate from the state of California. I mediated roommate disputes. So I learned to be like a neutral third party, which really helped me, where I just kind of facilitate. I go, why do you think that? Okay, what do you want out of it? And I just listen. And then I kind of give my perspective and I say, what if we did it this way? Because I feel like I've tried it this way and this is the outcome. And if they go against it, I just let them. For me, it's their business. I'm there to strategize, I'm there to challenge, but I'm not their business partner. So I'm not going to force them into anything. I'm going to give them a nudge. I'm going to give them my perspective. But I'd look at it how I would want someone to be in my business, where I'd want them to give me a different perspective. But if I wanted to make my decision and I was stuck on it, I'm very stubborn. So I'm not going to change my mind.
Scorpio, right?
Scorpio.
Yeah, look out.
Yeah. And then I think that like a difficult client, setting boundaries early. This is something I learned early in my career that I very much failed at, was not setting boundaries in terms of communication, in terms of scope of work. I would take on things that they weren't paying for because I would feel bad. And I think just being able to communicate with a client and be like, hey, I had a lot of clients text me when they should be emailing me, and I kind of have to train them to be like, hey, let's move this conversation to email. And they'd still text me and I'd be like, hey, I'm moving this conversation to email. I'm not texting you. And you kind of have to be firm about it. And sometimes, unfortunately, you have to drop clients. You just have to be like, okay, like our contract is up. I'm actually at max capacity. I can refer you to someone else. But I can't work with you anymore.
So you tactfully just exit the relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good way to go.
Yeah.
All right, Darren, you got any more for us?
Yes.
Not for me, not for us. Any more for her?
I think you
This is
should
the
weigh in
Jazzy
too.
show now.
You should definitely weigh in too. But how do you deal with lack of motivation?
Discipline. That's the number one word I can give you, is discipline. It's just like going to the gym. You're really motivated in the beginning as a business owner. You're really motivated when you have new ideas, when you want to start something new. But when it gets hard, or when it gets uncomfortable, or when you're just so tired and you wake up and you're like, the last thing I want to do is do this work, you have to get your discipline to kick in. It's just like muscle memory. You have to keep doing it, and you have to realize it's not going to last forever. And this is where the alignment and misalignment comes in, is that if you're not in alignment for a long time, if you're waking up day after day, month after month, hating something, you probably shouldn't be doing it. At a certain point, like, there's going to be lows and then you should come out of it. But if you're not coming out of it, you have to reevaluate. Is this really something you want to be doing? Is it making you happy? I always ask, is it sustainable for my business? Is it moving the needle? And is it fulfilling long term? It's not always going to be fulfilling, but if you can see it long term being fulfilling, then keep it. If you're like, I can't see the end and it's actually dreadful, get rid of it.
And sometimes for motivation, you actually need friction. Lack of friction makes you lackadaisical. The room is gray. Every day you wake up and it's a gray room, gray room. So you can either go, well, you know what? I think I'll paint the room to bright pink just to change it up differently, or I need to go bang my head into the wall. Not literally, but maybe literally. Friction in your life gets you to stimulate. It gets you to focus. You're going to run into something. Suddenly your adrenaline kicks in and you're hard. When there's nothing that's pushing you against, there's no gravity coming at you, why do you wake up in the day? You get burned out, you get brain fog, and you have no motivation. Discipline is also the same as avoiding friction. Friction's coming. You're going to be disciplined to avoid it, work around it, but that friction has to be there to get you to perform. Lack of friction, you will fall off a cliff, literally.
I always say if it's scary and exciting and uncomfortable, it's exactly where you need to be. It should have all three of those. It has to be uncomfortable for you to grow. If it's not, if it's super comfortable, you're not doing anything new. Discomfort just means you're doing something different, something new.
Yeah, it's like you show up to work, hey, I got a paycheck. That's every day of your life. Every day of your life, there's that paycheck, and you're writing a blank check of your life. Said, here you go, take it. And then the checkbook is blank and you have nothing. Okay, very good question.
I think keeping your schedule packed and getting distracted or even like going with the flow with how much you have on your calendar is what keeps me going. And I think this segues perfectly into the next question. How do you stay organized running your own business? Do you have lists, calendars, etc.? AI?
I am such a list girly. I love a list. I have a paper list. I have a list in my phone. I have a project management tool. I have a Google Doc of a list. I'll do like daily lists, weekly lists, hourly lists sometimes. I'm doing like a 75 hard but business edition. So every week I make a new list of what I want to do that week and each day. So I'm all about lists. I love checking things off, like the micro dopamine hits you get from checking off something on a list is that's part of the motivation too, is it gives you that little motivation burst, especially when you're not motivated. I'm like, okay, a 2-minute task and you check it off and you're like, okay, a 3-minute task, check it off. And then you get that motivation, that discipline back. I think that really helps. But I'm super about lists. I'm super about reviewing your goals quarterly and seeing what works, what doesn't work, and monthly and quarterly and yearly. Like as much as you can review and be like, okay, this didn't work this month. What am I going to do differently next month? That's how you stay organized.
Cool.
Before I move on to our biggest question, I do have a question for you. How do you integrate self-care into your day or into your operations?
Yeah, so I'm huge about self-care. I'm more of like, again, internal work is like my main form of self-care. So I do love a good face mask, I love a good facial, I love a good bath, but I'm really about that internal work. So I meditate a lot, but I don't force myself. I think that's where people get it wrong is they feel like, okay, you're taking up journaling, you're taking up meditating, you're taking up internal work, and you feel like you have to hit it hard. And I did that in the beginning of this year and I really burnt out. So it's really, but meditating helps me because it really helps you get like understand yourself. So you understand when you're going to hit burnout before you hit it. I think that's where self-care is important, is understanding your internal triggers, what your body's telling you, what your mind's telling you, all of these different things that are kind of coming to the surface consciously, being able to be like, I'm aware of this thought. This is something I need to work on. And to me, that's self-care, is being aware of your thoughts and being able to train yourself to flip those thoughts into something more productive.
Do you have anything for that, Eric?
I do, since I'm multi-generational here. There's different ways of self-care, and I think I'm terrible about it. But one thing I've realized recently, as you kind of get up in the years and you have friends that either their health starts to go, they get sick, or unfortunately, some of them not here anymore, human connection. I found that's the best self-care. I love to play music, but a lot of times it's in the garage with the dog. She has to listen to me. But if I go out, I'm with a group of friends, we're playing music or we're listening to music, that is very healing. Social networking doesn't mean you have to go and do anything crazy. Being around another human being, talking, listening, I find that so healing. Somebody toxic, no, definitely not. But somebody you want to be around, just that human energy that takes care of it. And we get so busy during the day, we're working so much, we're checking off the list, doing everything, that sometimes we forget we are human, and we lose our human connections, and we start to rot internally. We need to get back to each other, and we do. We feel better. Whether 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, a whole afternoon does not matter, but human connection is the best self-healing I have found, period.
I think going off of that, also just work life balance. It's the same thing we talked about. People work really
Mhm.
hard to wait until they're 65 to have fun. But that's why
Yeah,
our generation's different, because we're like, let's incorporate fun now. That's how you avoid burnout.
yeah. So if you're a friend, you go, I'll go see him next year, go see him today. There's no next year.
All right. And our last question: What is what is so important for you to empower women, and what? Oh, sorry. Our last question: Why is it so important for you to empower women? And what's one of your future plans to do more with or for women?
Well, I think being a woman, especially a woman of color, it's really important because I think now we have more visibility as women on social media, but I think if you look at like the big millionaires and the billionaires, there are a lot of white men, a lot of men in power, a lot of older men, and I don't think we have enough representation of women, even though it's kind of starting to get up. Like I didn't really have any women entrepreneurs to look up to when I was younger. Yeah, I had like women singers and hard workers for sure, but, where are the women like Jeff Bezos's and Mark Zuckerberg's of the world? I didn't have anyone to look up to. So it's all these men have these idols that they're like, okay, like they did it, I can do it. Well, we're like, who did it to show us how to pave the way? Who showed us that we can do it too? So I think that's why it's really important just to have that representation and show the other generations, the younger generations, that we can do it all as well. It's not just a male centric world, especially in business, that's typically been very male centric. And I think in terms of what I want to do to empower women, I'm working on a project with a group of girls, again, collaboration, but it's for all women entrepreneurs, online, in person, whatever business they have, is just to be able to connect with each other. Because again, representation matters, but also it gets lonely, like I said, especially in like a virtual world,
Mhm.
or just as an entrepreneur in general. If you have a store or commerce business, it can still be really lonely. And just being able to have other women to talk to that get it. Because again, men, you can connect with men business owners and they understand it to an extent, but they don't understand exactly what women go through, exactly the struggles that we go through, just like we don't understand some of the struggles that men go through in their own way. So it's nice to have that community, and that's what we're trying to build, is just a place not necessarily to, get clients or work with other people. Like I said, it's so important to have someone to vent to or just talk
Mhm.
to. And I'm glad I have a group message of like other women CEOs that sometimes we're like, hey, we're just having a really hard week and I just need to talk about it, and we'll all get on a call and we'll just talk about it, and you just feel so much better because just someone will be like, I went through that 2 months ago. And you're like, I had no idea. I thought I was going through it alone.
So here's one last note I want to throw at you. So our show is called Size Doesn't Matter. So a little pun, it's a little play off myself physically, but it's really about small business. Small, large, medium does not matter as long as you get the job done. So your case, size doesn't matter. You're a little smaller physical stature. Sex doesn't matter, as in male, female. Color doesn't matter, as in your mixed race. So all that, how do you embody all that? Does that make you who you are? Does that even matter? Does it just say, I'm just Jazzy, and at the end of the day, it's all that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about my size, my sex, my color, any of that. It's strictly me and the noise I can make.
I think it depends. I think a lot of those things, like you can just be yourself and that gives you power. But I also think a lot of those things, if you look at it at a certain way and you use it to your advantage, can give you a lot of power. I think being a woman can give me a lot of power. And I love to use that. I love to connect with people about that. I love being a woman of color because I can connect with other people about that too. I don't think it necessarily matters in, the grand scheme of things. I think that it just matters the way you present yourself as a human being. I think we're all just human beings and human consciousness, but at the same time I think we can use a lot of these different variables to our advantage to resonate with people on a human level. And I think people need to see that. I think the younger generation needs to see, people that look like them, people that talk like them, people that, have been through similar walks of life like them, do these things, because it really does help you resonate.
So what's your advice to the previous generation from yourself? Excluding me.
Live a little. That's all I can say. Truly, life isn't that serious. And I think a lot of people, you guys grew up in a different era. I will say we haven't gone through the same things. We grew up in some ways an easier time. We have a lot of access to a lot of different things. We have a lot of access to things in terms of like the internet and social media and being able to connect with people. So I get it. But at the same time, I think that they take things a little bit too seriously sometimes. And I'm like, again, I always look at it like, if I died tomorrow, would I be happy with what I did today? Or was I just like, I'm just trying to make it to, when I'm 70 and I can have fun? That's not a life. Why would you wait to live life when you can live it today?
Well, I've got 1,200 vinyl albums in my garage that you categorized and boxed for me. When I'm gone, what the hell are you going to do with all those?
Sell them.
All right, Jazz, you got to oblige me one thing. So not just growing up, even to this day, I like to say absurd things and do absurd things. And I get Jazzy. She's classic. She's 5'2" with the attitude, right? Going against her dad. She give me the Jazzy attitude with the eye roll. You got to give me the whole dad scheme and the eye roll for the camera, for the audience. Give it big, give it strong.
Give what?
Your attitude, your dad attitude.
I don't get it. You want me to roll my eyes at the camera?
I just said something absurd, really absurd. I think we're going to be editing this part. Guest is uncooperative, for sure. Well, folks, this was an extra pleasure for me personally, having a special guest on the show, the guest having me, my daughter. I learned a lot from her. I still learned a lot from her. She has learned nothing from me that she'll at least not admit to, but I'm sure she has in her own way that maybe she'll admit to the others off camera. So Jazzy, thank you so much for coming today, being a special guest. I know you're going to keep going skyward. The sky's the limit for you, and size does not matter. Keep the big attitude going.
Thank you for having me.
And welcome. And to our audience here, thank you so much for listening through Size Doesn't Matter, Entrepreneurial Marketing and Mayhem. We come at you every week with new guests, new content, fun stuff. But you know what? When our website's live, we're going to want to hear from you. We want to know what guests you want to see, what questions you want to ask, you've been scared to ask that I will ask on your behalf. So until next episode, we are signing off. This is Erico, 5'5", $125, because in business, size does not matter. It's just the quality of your action. Peace out.